You've authored several books, the most recent being The Patriot Jihadi, which details your experiences growing up in the Middle East and being indoctrinated as a child soldier, then coming to the United States, trying to assimilate and choose to serve in public safety and intelligence. During your career in law enforcement, you've served with 3 different U.S. Federal law enforcement agencies. So that's a lot.
It is. It is. It's a hell of a ride,
Yeah.
especially coming from an entirely different culture,
Yeah.
and then having to learn. I came here at 15 years old. I
Right.
didn't know how to speak English.
Right.
First place I land is Alabama,
Wow.
of all places.
That's a culture shock.
Well, not only that, I actually landed in Coleman, Alabama,
Wow.
which, from what I understand, is the headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan.
Right.
So,
You didn't exactly look like everybody else in that town.
yeah, no. I didn't, and I'll tell you. We'll start this out with this little story. So I'd been here about 9 months, 10 months,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously first Christmas parade. It was
Right.
December of '87, and my father remarried an American lady, really, really nice lady. She's passed on, God rest her soul, and she took me to the Christmas parade, right? It's funny because I hardly speak English, right? I've only been here 10 months. I picked up pretty quick, But we're watching the parade. You have the band, you have the drum majors, you have, the car dealers with their little, convertible cars. And then I see these little dudes coming with these little bitty cars, right? These little bitty cars, and they got the red fez on their head. And I'm familiar with the red fez because in the Middle East, it's usually Moroccans that wear that, up on the northern African coast. But the people who are wearing it are a bunch of old white dudes. And I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? Because I've never seen that before. And I'm like, why are these old people riding these little bitty cars? Well, come to find out later, it was the Shriners.
Right.
Because I recognized the symbol on top of it, which is kind of like a Egyptian type symbol, And it was kind of like, what in the hell? What is going on here? I thought like we were over there and they're over here. They're dressing like us, but they're driving little cars. It just didn't make sense. When somebody's dressed like that, I expect them to be on a camel or some sort of animal. Right. Or it's either that or a Mercedes Benz. Yeah. It's one of the two. You know what I'm saying? So So it's kind of a culture shock. We're right behind them. I see this 5 or 6 horses, and they're all dressed in white, and they got hoods on their head.
Uh-oh.
I've never seen that before.
Wow.
So I hit my stepmom and I'm like, who are those guys? And she says, shh, don't say anything. They don't like you. And I'm like, how the hell do they not like me? I don't even know who they are. It wasn't until later that I realized it was the actual Klan that was in the parade.
And this was in 87, 89?
87.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they were alive and well in the Christmas parade. In Alabama.
Oh, yeah. In some parts. Now, we got to be fair. Not all of Alabama is like that. You get into rural areas,
Right.
And this parade wasn't actually in that bigger city. It was one of the outskirts. It was 30, 40. Well, I'd still call it the big city because you know how it is with rural areas. If you have a bunch of little cities in a county and then you have your main county seat.
Yeah.
For people outside, you just tell them you're from that county seat because they wouldn't know where that little town is that has 1,200 people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I describe that. But yeah, it's sad, but it's still like that. And it kind of reminds me of being overseas because when you go to these villages, they still do have remnants of historical things that's happened and they still live that culture.
Overseas.
Yeah. And to see that here, it was kind of like, wait a minute, it's really not different. The only difference is they speak English.
Right.
I don't understand what they're saying, but they're speaking English,
So you come over here and you don't speak English at all?
At all.
So and how old were you?
15.
15.
Yeah.
So how'd you learn English? Did you learn it in school or did you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. When I came, I got enrolled in school within a month and a half of being here, even though I didn't know how to speak English. My dad basically went to the principal or the people and said, look, he's going to sit in the class. He's going to observe. He'll sit in the back and he's just going to listen.
Right.
So every night when he comes home, you guys need to have the teachers basically write down what his homework is. So then I would go home and I would have to take a translating dictionary and literally translate every word on a sentence. So if I had a reading assignment that would typically take you 15 minutes to read 2 pages, that was a 3.5 hour process.
Oh, wow.
But being immersed into that type of environment and having to be forced, plus all the communication around you is you don't have no choice but to not only adapt, but your brain actually kicks in and starts analyzing information a whole lot deeper. Right. And I always tell people, and if you look at people who become linguists, the best way they learn is they not only go to a language school, but they'll go live in that environment for a year or two, because that's when you see they enhance their ability to speak that language, because they learn the correct pronunciations, the enunciations, the slang. It's different than having an academic approach to it. You know? And so really, I would say probably within a couple of years, I was pretty fluent. Not even to this day, we're talking 1987 and we're in 2025. Even to this day, there's certain words in English that I can't pronounce correctly. Right. Because when I learned it, I didn't have that flow. Now, what I did focus on was paying attention to how things are pronounced and the enunciation and the accent. Right. So it's funny. When I was living in East Texas, I'd have more of an East Texas accent after about a month. When I lived in Mississippi, I'd have more of a Mississippi accent like that. It's almost like it's adaptive.
You kind of assimilate to wherever you're at.
Right. And that's pretty common with individuals who come here at a young age from a foreign country, and they're learning that because they're able to emulate. Now, someone comes here in their 50s and they learned English overseas. They've learned it with an accent. It's kind of hard to get rid of that accent. Right. But you learning and being immersed in it and learning in the accent, in the process of learning, it helps with, being able to speak and sound like a native. I mean, you look at me right now and I talk, unless I tell somebody I'm from the Middle East, they literally think I'm Mexican. If I'm in South Louisiana, they think I'm Cajun. Right. They think I'm French, or they think I'm Italian or something to that effect. Depends on where I'm at. You
can just kind of blend in.
I kind of blend in. And then, of course, I was like, hey, I like this cowboy hat. Mainly because the boots give me a couple of extra inches.
There you go.
So I couldn't wear like regular boots with just regular jeans, so I thought I'd just go cowboy hat with it.
It's funny.